Well, I'm a bit late to tell you this, but 2011 is over now, and you might have seen my previous list, my top 10 least favourite films I've watched this year, a list that no doubt I will get much hate for. But today I have something a little more positive, and that's my top 10 favourite films I watched in 2011. If you didn't see my last video, this would be a list exclusively of films I watched this year. If I'd seen 30 minutes of it any other year, it can't be on the list. So get your critiquing comments ready, this is my top 10 favourite films I watched in 2011.
Number 10.
As I do on most lists, I had a really hard time picking number 10, but when I really thought about it, it had to be Ice Age 3. I find the first two Ice Ages kinda meh, both of the plots are kinda bland, and they don't really have as much atmosphere as they should be. They also aren't incredibly funny to make up for it. However, in Ice Age 3 we get a creative storyline, a lot of really funny moments, and in my opinion the far best of the series. Yeah, the whole introduction of dinosaurs seems kind of cash cowy, especially as the dinosaurs were extinct well before these films are set, but the way the film introduces them makes enough sense, and it's quite tongue-in-cheek about it all anyway. The new character of Buck is pretty damn funny, Ellie is more funny than annoying this time, same as Crash and Eddie, Sid has also some really funny moments looking after baby dinosaurs, and Dennis Leary is great as well as Diego. It's actually pretty funny seeing all of these characters interact with each other, and it is written well so that all of them have a big part to play. Scrat's storyline is also quite fresh, where he meets a girl squirrel rat thing and he fights with her for his nut. I have no idea why, but I found the humour hilarious in this movie. I think it has something to do with the amount of characters in the movie. Unlike Ice Age 1 or 2, all of them are on the same side, and it's just funny seeing them argue with each other how to accomplish their task and how they put up with each other. There's also something great about seeing Sid get something he wants after being treated like shit for the first two movies. The film has unpredictable jokes, a level of self-awareness which I liked, but not too much, and has a consistent tone. The film's also really good looking, has creative design, and any dinosaur-loving kid will have a ball with this. Ice Age 3 got mixed reviews when it came out in 2009, so maybe I was just in a really good mood when I watched this or something, but this is a mindless, fun, and completely unoffensive film, and I really wouldn't mind watching it again at all.
Number 9.
The Plague Dogs. This is a not very well-known animated film from 1982, and the spiritual successor to the much more popular and well-known Watership Down. While I liked Watership Down, another film that I watched for the first time this year, The Plague Dogs is even better. The film is incredibly bleak for an animated film, and treats the audience with utmost respect. It doesn't dumb anything down, and it doesn't try at all to pan itself towards kids. So yeah, this is one for the adults, or the more mature kids. Like Watership Down, it does have some quite bloody scenes, but in Watership Down, I found it to be a little too excessive, like they were putting it in just to put it in. In The Plague Dogs, restraint is used, and the result is a much more disturbing and shocking movie than Watership Down. I like how you never see the humans' faces, which makes the humans in the movie more threatening and mysterious, even though we know it's just our species. The film about dogs escaping from the animal testing lab might seem preachy, but it really isn't. It just tells a story and doesn't try to rub in anything about why animal testing is bad, even if it is subtly implying it. What you get in this movie is an unpredictable, thrilling, realistic, and shocking picture. If there was any film that made my heart beat faster this year, it was this. The animation style is strange, but it works for what it is, and it still makes you feel for the characters. I admire this film more than anything because of the fact that even though it's an animated film with talking animals, it does take itself dead seriously. I would appreciate more films like this.
Number 8.
Waking Sleeping Beauty. You can tell from my list so far that I did watch a lot of animated films this year, and it was also interesting to see how they got made in this documentary of the Disney studios on before and during the Disney Renaissance. The film explores the people, events, films, and media surrounding Disney and goes into depth about the emotions hovering around people at the time. The film uses great stock footage and some appropriate cartoon interpretations, and narration by various people who were involved with Disney. The film tells you a lot, and really makes you see how each period of the company affected the people involved. It goes into great detail. I did watch many Disney films for the first time this year, but I can say I do prefer this to them, well, most of them, as I like seeing real people's struggles overcome about something unusual such as a children's film company. The movie is inspiring, nostalgic, and tells a great comeback story, and was my 8th favourite film of the year. I also really liked a similar film, The Pixar Story, exploring the birth of Pixar. Both films I highly recommend.
Number 7.
Toy Story 3. I also did a review of this back in May, so not much needs to be said. What can I say? Great animation, great story, really funny, quite emotional at times, really good nostalgia for fans of the first two movies, takes itself seriously but in a funny way, and great new characters. This is one great animated film, and a great film in general, and a worthy sequel to the first two Toy Story films. Some of the ideas introduced into the film are kind of hit and miss, such as Buzz speaking Spanish, which I didn't really care for, and the ending is kind of predictable, but it doesn't matter. The film is so much that you can easily look past anything you don't particularly like. I like how dark it is, which actually makes it funnier. I don't really think I need to tell people any more about why this film is great, so let's just move on.
Number 6.
Megamind. This is a funny, good-looking, creative animated film with a great premise and one of my favourite of DreamWorks movies. A company which is very hit and miss with me. The story of Megamind isn't an incredibly original one, but I think it knows that. In a way, it's a parody of superhero movies, but in another way, it's one that simply explores the question. What does it even mean to be a superhero? Can the villains be good? Can the heroes be bad? What is exactly the intention of villains? Some people find the humour kind of meh. I love the humour for how much of it there was. But the movie doesn't actually have too much humour. It actually takes itself quite seriously a lot of the time, but for the laughs it has, they work for me. I love the character of Megamind, I especially like his sidekick. This guy is just so friendly, and I love how he supports Megamind for everything he does, no matter if it's being evil or not. I like it how he also parodies the parody of death sequences, if that makes any sense. This movie twisted and turned itself so many times and has an incredibly satisfying end battle and ending. I like the damsel in the movie, and for some reason the love interest doesn't seem forced. And for some reason some people say the plot in this movie is recycled. Maybe I haven't watched enough movies, but I didn't think this at all. I like Brad Pitt as the cliche but understandable superhero, and I like the nerdy guy too. I would love to see the sequel if this were made, just to see these characters back again. For the record, I thought DreamWorks' other movie released that year, How to Train Your Dragon, was okay, but highly overrated. Megamind, however, great movie, and I only wish I saw it in cinemas.
Number 5.
Adaptation. I became inspired to write a screenplay this year, not because of this film, but this film was a great one to watch while I was in the middle of writing it. Nicolas Cage, an actor which I almost always like, plays twins, both with distinct yet likable personalities, in this mind-bending and highly entertaining film. One big reason I like this film so much is because of the premise. The film that you're watching is a fictional story of a character writing the film that you're watching. How great is that? The main characters are both great characters and both are fabulous performances by Nicolas Cage. They are strange yet relatable. You feel embarrassed for Charlie, the twin writing the movie that you're watching, as well as disappointed for him too. His twin Donald is also likable, and I like how much he looks up to his brother. It's also cool how you can tell these men are similar, but also how you can tell that they're different. Meanwhile, you get parts of the interesting story between Meryl Streep and Chris Cooper. It's kind of predictable, but I think it's meant to be. The third act of the movie is brilliant, and it is a great turn on the movie as well as ironic. Everything comes together to make a great ending. I won't spoil it though. If you've ever thought about writing a movie, this is a really great film for you, as well as anyone who is a Nicolas Cage or Meryl Streep fan. I only wish I thought about the idea for this movie first.
Number 4.
Bolt. Probably one of my favourite Disney films actually. This film is funny, incredibly interesting, and has great characters. This is like the Truman Show with a dog, and while not as great, it is still something superb. I love the tongue-in-cheek opening scene, I love Bolt's blissful unawareness that he's only an actor, I like the completely original manager antagonist, I like the unenthusiastic yet understandable cat played by Susie Essman, I like the fanboy hamster played by Mark Walton, the type of character you never see and is hilarious to watch. This movie has a great plot, it's emotional, and the ending, while kinda cliche, is expected and leaves a good message. The final scene is also incredible and funny at the same time. I would have liked to see this film poke more at the movie industry rather than the television industry that doesn't exist, and that would have made this film even better. But for what it is, it's a fantastic film for children and for adults, and my fourth favourite film I watched in 2011.
Number 3.
The Iron Giant. Said to be one of the greatest animated films of all time, I could not agree more. This film is everything. Likeable and realistic characters, a lovable yet ass-kicking robot, a great 50s atmosphere, a three-dimensional antagonist, and really great humour. The plot, about a kid finding friendship in a being from outer space, isn't no way original, but it feels like a tribute to old movies and what Super 8 not only should have been, but also what it most definitely ripped off. The main character, a kid, is a fantastic character. Hardly ever do you find a kid main character realistic, relatable, funny, and admirable all at the same time, and here you go. The animation is also fantastic. This movie doesn't act like the stereotypical animated movie of the 90s, and every scene is engaging. The plot never takes itself in a direction you don't want it to. This is the directorial debut of Brad Bird, a director which made some of my other favourite films of all time, Ratatouille and The Incredibles, and this film is just as good, if not better.
Number 2.
Well, I could have chosen a movie that I mentioned more than any other this year, The Land Before Time, but seeing I did technically see it as a kid, I couldn't do it. but I did immensely like another of Don Bluth's films, which I saw for the first time this year, The Pebble and the Penguin. This movie got extremely poor reviews when it came out, and even Bluth said himself that he didn't like it. But this doesn't put me off. Bluth said himself that he wasn't very happy with the end product of The Land Before Time either. I may not like this film for any reasons that you would expect, but instead a combination of so bad it's good, a guilty pleasure, and an unintentional parody. Somehow, all these things come together to form a movie I really like, such as this. Firstly, let me say that this movie is corny, really corny, and because of this, I find it really funny. The main character, Hubie, Martin Short, is an extremely corny, hopeless romantic with big eyes and eyelashes. He stutters, is pretty stupid at times, and laughs at other people's dreams and ambitions. He is sort of a parody on cute children's characters, yet he is not perfect at all like some of them. His friend Rocco hates corniness, is overambitious. For one, he wants to fly, and as a constant mood swings are the convenience of the plot. This combination of these two characters is great. Seeing these two characters together is brilliant, and I love how they learn things from each other. Hubie learns to be more confident, and Rocco learns it's okay to be corny and have a friend. Meanwhile, we have an incredibly over-the-top and stereotypical villain played by Tim Curry. This guy is like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, but even more cliché. He just sits in his evil lair shaped like a skull, thinking about how he's going to get the girl and wants to kill the good guys. He's extremely entertaining to listen to, and is much like a parody on children's movie antagonists. This movie has some old-looking animation for what the movie was made in 1995, but I find something quite atmospheric and nostalgic about it for some reason. The film also has a great atmosphere and feels quite surreal at times. I don't really care that the penguins have claws or have hands, and it just makes the film seem more like we're going into their world, one which is a different view of ours. Some people complain about the ending, but I think that there is some logic to it. For one, he is holding the pebble. That's all I'm going to say. The songs are average. I personally find Now and Forever catchy as hell though, and the other songs feel like parodies on other animated film songs. I don't really mind them. There are some really corny things I like, how the narrator says that the villain is evil, how Hubie gets captured by humans the moment he leaves Antarctica, and how the boat's name is called Misery. I also really like the scenes where the penguins are being chased by predators. Great animation. For me, this film was an unintentional masterpiece. I love the good stuff about it, I laugh at the bad stuff, and this movie has a slight self-awareness that I feel, even if it's just me. I made a list of my top 10 movies everyone hates but I like earlier this year, and if I only made it later, this would have been number 1 on that list.
Number 1.
Memento. This is by far my favourite of Christopher Nolan's films, and is also one of my favourite rated films at IMDb, so I'm sure many people share my opinion. The way the story is told in backwards is ingenious. You think you know everything at the start, but no, you know nothing. The film is great because it puts you in exactly the same position as the incredible, likeable main character, Leonard. You only know as much as what's going on as Leonard knows, and that's all. You trust the same people Leonard trusts, and you feel the same way about the characters and events as Leonard does. You feel like you know him more than anyone else in the world. The film goes through several twists, and is able to explain its story extremely well for such a strange way to tell itself. The film never gets confusing, but it does stress your mind to think about how each scene fits, and what has come next and before this. It's extremely engaging and calls for rewatches multiple times. The soundtrack is strange, yet oddly fits the atmosphere. And that's what I also like, the atmosphere. The movie feels comforting, yet alienating at the same time. It's a strange experience. This movie makes you know how it feels to have short-term memory loss, and therefore provides an unforgettable experience. Many films are simply implied or not definite. You don't know any more than what Leonard knows, and the movie never tells you if anybody is lying. You have to work it out for yourself. I've never seen a movie like this before, and while it's kinda gimmicky, it works exceptionally well. And it's my favourite film I watched in 2011.
So yeah, thanks to the special few people who did watch my videos this year. It was good starting this channel, Time Travel Reviews, and I've had a lot of fun reviewing these movies and telling you what I think about them. So when I say this year, I mean 2011, because this year that we're in right now is 2012. So it's actually in the middle of the month now. But anyway, so yeah, I can't wait to see what movies I see this year, and I can't wait to make this list at the end of this year. At the end of this video, I'll show you my runners-up and the full list of movies. So anyway, thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you another time. Goodbye.